about how we can scale enterprises. I think it is in every one of us at to see the community that we are supporting to grow and also to meet even their daily needs. So thank you and welcome to this topic, from informal to investable, scaling local enterprises for the long-term impact. Of course, this touches on the question that lies at the heart of our work. We are there to support community, at least to put food on the table. And again, how should it be sustainable? Where do they start? And how we turn the potential of informal sector into sustainable, investable enterprises that transform the lives and communities. So allow me to share with you the journey that we have walked with some of our entrepreneurs and have a success story of Phoebe, whom we have been able to work with her this journey from small to an enterprise that now we can invest in, that can create and solve problems that we are having as Kenya. So we began with the year 2015, and she had just one fishing boat, selling about 15 kgs of tilapia and lungfish. Today, as we speak, she owns 15 boats, supplying over 50 kgs of fish daily to Nairobi, Nakuru, and also Busia. We have been able to support jointly with other partners like Equity, with capital, with credit. And through that, she has been able to expand our business and employ over 20 youth. And she has established her own company and now exploring refrigeration solution to distribute across the country. That's just a small proportion of the work that we are doing, and an example how we can transform people from informal into investable enterprises. And when we talk about informal economy, I'm sure you understand because you are serving at the grassroots. You are able to relate with those enterprises. You are seeing what is happening there. And for statistics, 80%, actually 85% of our economy is informal. 15 million of Kenyans have been employed through informal sector. But again, a number of challenges are there. And how do we address them? I think it's a question in the room. And some of them are here. And across the formal sector is the economy. I've mentioned that it is employing over 15 million Kenyans. Actually, 85% of our workforce, it is in informal sector. Families are feeding through that economy. And people are taking their children to school through that economy. So the discussion is very important to see how we can be able to move them there. As we proceed, we shall be seeing your role, even as journalists, what we need to join hands and to do so that we can address and see them grow up. The major challenges, apart from having that big economy, it still remains fragile because of number of factors, number of challenges that surround them. One being access to credit. And maybe some may wonder, because even where you are, like today, in your phone, you can be able to access money. But the question is the cost and also the products that are there that are tailored to meet the needs of this entrepreneur. So actually, it's not about the money. It's affordable credit to run enterprises. If you look around and scan around, even where you work, there are so many micro finances that are giving money, but are they meeting the needs of the enterprises? That's a question. They have off-shelf products that are just there to serve probably their profit margin, but I'm not sure whether they are. That is the big challenge that these entrepreneurs are facing. The other thing is issue to do with the markets. We find, and I know even some of you have covered stories where farmers are producing, but the produce is not getting to the markets, either because of an issue of market linkage or even the challenges of infrastructure. We have seen farmers, I don't want to mention which location because we're not political, pouring milk. They have milk in the morning and they pour because they cannot access to market. So these are challenges that these entrepreneurs are going each and every day. Retro business training skills. Today you find someone have started in Pennsylvania, and a very short of time, you see so many M-Pesas across that street. So how do they start? They don't have knowledge. It's just a matter of copying and pasting. But will that work? Those are some of the things that they are struggling. And as hand in hand, we are bridging, we are coming to address and also to change the mindset, because majority of them, again, are doing enterprises as a subsistence rather as a commercial enterprise. And some even don't have profitability in their mind. They wake up early and are very hard-working people. But at the end, they don't know even whether they are making profit or loss. Probably that explains the statistic we have, that it is only 10% of the enterprises from informal that are going from that level to the next level because of those challenges that we are mentioning, and among others that I may not be able to discuss today because of time. So we really need to see how do we join hands to address all these challenges. And as hand in hand, how are we addressing this? And as I mentioned, we are here in Kenya in 40 counties. So we are there to the most marginalized community, where probably financial or commercial organization cannot go because they cannot break even if they serve those people. So I think, and you, because of the challenges that are there, you also find yourself there. So before even we start talking about profits, we want to invest in people. We keep grassroots entrepreneurs with business training. And this is very key. And perhaps this is where we have gaps. We have so many financial institutions that are giving loans, that are giving credits. But retro is done when it comes to training. People, they get money, but they don't know how to do with that money, or they are not informed the decision in terms of borrowing. So they are sold loans and they get money, but again, it could even be the killer of the enterprise that have been surviving. So business skills are very, very important. Some may start business today, and they think tomorrow they will be making money. They don't know the journey. They don't know sometimes business takes time to break even. That's why we are seeing a very big percentage, actually 46% of the enterprises, the survival rate is very low. 46% of micro, or rather informal enterprises do transit or do exit beyond 1 year. They die within the first 12 months. And I know where maybe you reside or you work, you may see a premise. Today you find it is a butchery. Tomorrow you find it is an hardware. And the other day you find something else, it's a salon. Is it true? Those are the experiences that we are experiencing as even we serve the community. So the issue of training and skills is very, very critical, and it really needs to be addressed from all angles. Financial literacy and record keeping. Yeah, some do very well in terms of doing business. But again, how do they manage their finances? This is a question. Some will not even sleep when they have money in the pocket. They want to spend so that in the next day they wake up and start looking for the money. So a lot of training, capacity building, awareness need to be created. And some will find even a majority of the family in terms of inclusion, they are doing separate business. You find our wife doing her own business, either a cow, these are the experiences. And even when the husband or the wife is away, the wife will not get packages that day. So how do we even bring inclusion in terms of doing the business? The other bit is the issue of saving. And this is not only even for entrepreneurs. Even as we speak today is date what? It's 4th. I know almost all of us received salary. Have we saved? Because the culture that we are experiencing is hand to mouth. The God will speak for us tomorrow. But God has given us brain to address the challenges that we face. So we really need to inculcate the saving culture. We need to set the mindset that we don't save because of abundance, because of excess. We save because it is intentional. It is a plan that we really need to save. Even as you need to save, and for you who is not doing business, you really need to save for so many reasons that I may not mention right away because of time. Business planning and market analysis. Some even start producing without knowing where they will be able to sell. So it is very important for us to work with them through. And actually, this is what we are doing since 2015. We have been targeting those at the bottom of the pyramid. But because of learning, because of evaluations, we have brought another model where we are also saying, can we now take these enterprises, at least even that % to the next level, where they can be able even to employ, where they can be able to increase their revenue and give more opportunity even to the problem that we are having of unemployment. So we are not creating beneficiaries. We are building capable business owners. And how is the journey from informal to investable ventures look like? So first, we are trying to help them convert, do the business in a more formal way. Let them register. I know majority, the reason they give, hatutaki kuingia huko because of taxation and so many other things. Of course, those are things that we really need to advocate as even grassroots organizations. How even we can influence the policy when it comes to issue to do with taxation, because those are the limitations again that are making our businesses, or rather informal enterprises, not to be formal. So a lot of opportunity are there, but still for them to go to an extra mile, they really need to have a formal way or registered business. The other aspect or stage is productivity and quality. There is a need for us to support them in terms of digitalization. Today, you cannot do anything. But I'm happy, even as I come from Nairobi, because even COVID gave us a challenge. And now, it's not a must even people to have a space for them to do business. People are doing it online and making a lot of income. So, but for us, we are helping those even at the bottom. How can they reach more people through digital marketing, through even digital record keeping to monitor even how their businesses are performing. Also diversification and also product improvements. Market again, the business structure, they can negotiate at the scale and attract more capital if market is there and they are ready to, they are packaged in a way that the people can be able to invest. So it is very important for us, even as we move forward, we see how do we support these people and what they need, and how do we hear these stories so that it can, now if you can hear a story like Ifebi, I'm very sure in the showers of Rick Baringo, she may get a lot of investors who can be able to join and support that kind of business. And again, what we are suffering from, especially as Kenyans, as when we develop, we are just narrowing ourselves to one specific area of financing, debt financing. But now we really need, if you see the developed economy, they are talking about equity, which is more even, it gives even time for the business to thrive. Hii pesa unapewa leo, unaambiwa even some microfinance are paying day, every week. That cannot support the business to move forward. So we are partnering with private off-takers in terms of market access. And also county government, we have a MOU, even here in Mombasa. If governor was here, I think he could recognize our good work that we are supporting here. And we are in different thematic area, we're in climate, and we are seeing everything that we do, we have to look at in the eyes of enterprise, whether in climate, whether in waste, whether in human rights, whether in livelihood, we have to put profit, we have to put enterprise in that aspect. So when micro entrepreneurs reach stable markets, their incomes automatically grows. So market is key thing. Even before they start, they really need to have markets. And that's why I'm saying they don't have knowledge because they multiply, they copy without even knowing where to start. And through that, they will be able even to reduce the risk. They are no longer selling to survive, and they have to sell to scale up. So as I get to the end, we really need to ask what is the law of the media. Grassroots journalists, catalyst for visibility and investment. Tell a real story. And I know now that those who didn't know about us, we can walk this journey together. We can see how do we partner and pick those stories that really need to be handled so that they can move and get even investors. Highlight solution and local innovation, and connect enterprises with opportunity. Perhaps where they are, they don't know what is existing. And today I've seen your network is very good if you can be able to bring the ambassador of US here. It's not a joke. So you are connected. How can we also advocate? How can we also how can we give information? And scaling local businesses is a collective effort. Therefore, all of us, it's not about hand in hand. For us, we cannot alleviate poverty. That we are talking about poverty reduction. But when we join hands, we will be able to equip these people with skills. And I'm very sure in our components, in our model, you have to feature in somewhere. Connect them to the market, support gender inclusion, and build value chains. Finally, amplify their stories. And this is how we move from informal investable to unlock transformational journey. And before I end, I want to share experience, how transformation that you can be able to see has happened. I know majority of you, I don't know whether, I know probably you have an experience with the wicked. 2009 to 2007, 2009. I used to go to that bank. When you visit the banking hall, you spend the entire day. And I was thinking, surely, will I still survive in this bank? Then again, because of information, because of technology, even before I make a decision to exit, they went ahead and they brought what they called equity agents. Sota tukatoroka kutoka bank, tukarudi mashinani, the grassroots. Then at that, they were able to serve us. The problem ended, but it did not end there again. They take it, they brought a solution where they introduced Equitel. Today, even I sit here, I spend all my money, whatever I want to do with it, while seated at that desk. So we want to see that transformation. But again, many businesses will be able to go to that level. So the option for the equity was either to go down that time, but they had to apply a very competitive strategy for them to move up. Look at also M-Pesa. They have rocked us. They have used what we call lock-in strategy. That's a Safaricom. Tunajaribu kuenda kwa Equitel, tunajipata bado tumerudi because people will not send you money, they will not move. These are the hard advice we want to give. At least we see the raising of our percentage to another level. And through that, let me stop. I can see the facilitator. I say thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak for you.
Wapi makofi yake. Indeed, as he's mentioned, grassroots journalist equals to catalyst for visibility and investment. And we are the custodians of the truth. I'd like to pass the mic to, if we have any reaction to one person before we call it a session. Anyone? Great. I'll take you.
Okay, thank you for the good session that you've taken us through. I'm Mercy Mumbwa, and I have a question. So what message do you have to the young people who feel hopeless financially, yet they have great business ideas?
The last bit, I've not gotten it. They don't capital, but they have idea.
No, what message do you have to the young people who feel hopeless financially? They are financially unstable, yet they have great business ideas.
Okay.
We can take one, then you can respond.
Thank you so much for such a commendable job that you're doing. My name is Munde. Now that you're working with families from low-income households, my question is, do you think that everyone can be entrepreneurial? And what's the criteria that you use to ensure that, or to identify that this is the person that I want to invest in so that you avoid wastage of resources?
Sure. And let me start with for Mercy. I think it's a little bit hard, but we have the population of Kenya, big percentage. I think around 70 are youth. And the rate of employment is also very high. But it is very interesting, and it's good also to have an idea, because if you have an idea, can come. And I think the best thing is to see how do we give these people platform to hear the ideas. But as hand in hand, when we go to the villages, most of the people that you find there are women, elderly, but youth have already migrated to the urban area. So what we are doing currently, we want to introduce online learning, where first give them skills, then after that we give them capital, where they can be able to start a business. I may not be able to talk about our model, but it has 4 components. One is social mobilization, business training, access to credit. So at that point, we are able to negotiate with them and see how we can be able to support them. Yes, can everyone be an entrepreneur? Yes, because whatever we do, even the houses or even the media houses, whatever they are doing is a business. So when you wake up every day, unless you are employed, those that are in business, those are doing farming or economic activity, they have to do it in an entrepreneurship mode. And you are asking, how do we select, perhaps? We work, our methodology is the room group approach. That is at the bottom. That is where we get into the community. Of course, with the partnership with the county government and all other stakeholders in that area. But after we take them the first model or modules of bottom, we pick those who are able to start a business and grow. There are a lot of that happen around there, but in the interest of time, I may not go to that deeper, but can I also take this opportunity to say we have in Mombasa, and we are privileged Gerald Pass who can raise your hands. We have staff who can serve. If you come from this area, we can be able to discuss and see how do we work together. And also, allow me also to introduce my colleagues. You can just wait where you are. We are there, we are here with them, and you can engage us even during and after this session. Thank you.
Wapi makofi yake. We appreciate your insight. And we hope that even as we continue reporting, writing, speaking, and telling stories, we can equally think of it from an entrepreneurial angle. You come to think of it, for the 5 days that we've been here, and we now have had 4 days, hakuna mtu nimesikia akisema oya cheki, nauza hii kitu, unaweza nunua? Let me just see, by a show of hands, kuna mtu yoyote hapa amekuwa approached with anyone akimwambia nauza kitu? What was that? Advertisement, very nice. Nani mwingine ameuza kitu? Apart from kuuza sera, kuna mtu ameuza kitu ingine? Ideas. Umepata pesa? Kesho tuko na awards. Theme ni Swahili. Kuna watu ambao hata hawakubeba madera, hawakubeba kanzu. Kuna mtu saizi anafaa kwa alishafikiria, akaenda Mombasa, kanunua in wholesale, kakuja akauza. Munilipe, sawa? Hiyo ni idea. I am just hoping next time, as we think and plan of coming here, if you will be coming, think of making money, sawa? Next time hata mimi nikiwauzia kitu mtanunua? Mtanunua? Very nice. Thank you so much, hand in hand, and your team. Great work you're doing in the communities, and we are hoping that you will continue partnering with grassroots journalists to amplify the work that you're doing. Still in alignment with our theme today on mentorship, civic engagement, and inclusion, we are going to have a panel discussion that will be speaking about mentorship for rural journalists. And in this session, I'd like you to help me welcome an amazing lady that we happen to share a name, Wairimo Gitau. Tumpigie makofi. Tupigie Wairimo Gitau, she'll be moderating this session. Tumpigie makofi mpaka afike. Mpaka afike. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Mama. Thank you, Wairimo. Thank you, Madam. Good morning. We have a very short session. I think it's a panel session, so if somebody can help move this, that would be awesome. So we'll have a very short session so that we can move on to other things, but this is on mentorship. So kuna watu kadhaa watakuja kuongea kuhusu mentorship. But before we do that, I want us to do an exercise. By show of hands, how many journalists, community journalists, have gone through mentorship program? Show of hands. Wakutoka Nairobi, wakutoka rural. Because the topic is mentorship for rural journalists. How many have gone through any mentorship program? Directly or indirectly, okay? Your name? Jackie, which media? Freelancer. I am mtu mwingine. You're from Freelancer, but the last media was in rural or rural area ama Nairobi? Rural. Okay, anyone else? Mentorship program? Okay, I can see Faima, I can see Greg, Millie. Niko fiti na majina leo. Sawa, sawa. That's Nairobi media. Sawa. So the people we are going to have online, to have today on the panel here, not online, kuna zawadi wako nayo. So nataka mtu mmoja who has been mentored in rural ama in Nairobi to answer it. But before we get there, I want us to share. Greg, what were your challenges? What did you learn most about mentorship? What was your takeaway for the mentorship program? And DJ, as we prepare to invite the two panelists, so we'll have Greg, and then we will have the freelancer, Jackie.
Thanks, Wairimu. So my mentorship was more of an indirect one. It wasn't a program that was structured. And it was while I was working at Kenya News Agency. I worked with seasoned journalists who've been in the field for tens of years since Moi's regime. Some of the challenges faced was the old school type of reporting or doing your work. They were not keen to embrace the new media and the new strategies and technologies that have cropped up. And when you bring suggestions on the same, then they were easily shot down. I remember at some point also, we were using the old cassettes in 2025, the year of the Lord. So it was a bit, redundant in the way we were progressing. So, yeah.
Thank you, Greg. So in terms of adoption of new and emerging technologies, thank you, Greg, that was a challenge. Jacqueline, what was your takeaway for your mentorship and what were some of the challenges?
Okay, I didn't really experience a challenge in the process of mentorship, but one of the things that I realized in terms of having a mentor or in a mentorship program, you have to be on the forefront of wanting knowledge, because at times I thought that the mentor has to be on you or someone has to be on you following up, but instead it's you to show the urge that I need something to get out of it. I need something out of this. So they will not give you everything. It's more of guidance and telling you that if you want to move at this level, then you have to focus on certain areas. So I've been in different mentorship opportunities, and just the key takeaway was you have to be, you yourself has to be on the forefront to get more knowledge.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you so much, Greg. So at this juncture, help me to welcome two amazing people. And DJ utanisaidia hapa. I'd love to invite someone who's stand on this panel yesterday to talk to us about DNDI work. So guys, a round of applause for Mercy Mumo. She is the communications manager. Karibu sana. And I would like to invite the next panelist, Dr. Raphael Ogutu, a colleague of mine and a senior lecturer at Data University. Karibu sana. DJ, thank you so much. I'm curious again, journalists. Is there any journalist in the house who has mentored somebody? Sindio? There's you and there's Millie. Millie, may I please invite you to join us? Hey, Millie njo. This is ours, eh? This is community media. Please give a huge round of applause as Millie comes to the front. Hii sasa ndio inaitwa, thank you DJ. Hii sasa ndio inaitwa ambush. Cameraman naona anasumbuka na nitafuta huko na nanitafuta huko. So I'll try and stand here, yeah. So thank you, Dr. Raphael Ogutu. And thank you, Mercy. And thank you, Millie, for honoring the invitation. I think we must speak as experts and as journalists as well. So the last exercise as we begin is to ask what DNDI stands for before we dwell into the matter of mentorship. And the first journalist to get it right is going to get something courtesy of DNDI. Communications Manager in East Africa, Mercy Mumo. What does DNDI stand for? First person. Yes. Sawa, tumpigie makofi. Please make sure you see Mercy tomorrow or later on this afternoon. She has something for you. So let's start off this morning as we head into the afternoon with what mentorship really stands for and what mentorship means. So from an academic perspective, from a programmatic perspective, and from a journalistic perspective. So let's start with Mercy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So from where I sit, I think mentorship for us is a mutually beneficial relationship where an expert, who in this case is the mentor, provides guidance, skill support, access to opportunities to the mentee who is supposed to benefit from this relationship.
Thank you so much. And Millie?
Hamjambo nyote.
Hatujambo.
Nimeona Kiswahili kimesahaulika, nimekuwa kama yatima, sasa acha niwe mtetezi. Nashukuru kwa hii nafasi ambayo nimepewa. Mentor nitasema ni kama mwalimu ambaye anamuongoza yule ambaye ni mwanafunzi ambaye anajifunza kutoka kwake. Na huyu mentor lazima ana ujuzi, utafiti kuhusiana na jambo fulani kama au makala fulani au habari fulani, ndipo aweze kumuelekeza yule mwanafunzi ambaye yuko tayari kujifundisha kutoka kwake. Na huyu mentor pia lazima pia kuna ujuzi ambao alipata mahali. Na huyu mentor inamaanisha kwamba basi yuko juu kuliko yule ambaye yuko chini yake. Na huyu ambaye yuko chini yake hata kama anajua lazima anyenyekee ili aweze kujifunza kutoka kwa mentor. Asante.
Asante sana Millie. And Dr. Gutu?
Okay, Nikama. Yeah, from the definitions that we've received, I would like to add just a few. A mentor is someone who has also volunteered, and it is about a long-term development and a long-term relationship between the mentor and the mentee. So it takes time. And this is a person who is also knowledgeable, as she has said, in your area. You are knowledgeable in your area. And so you are sharing what you know with the someone you're raising up. A good example, would use the biblical example where Paul, the Apostle Paul tells Timothy or the Christians that follow me as I follow the Christ. You know, they are imitating. So I would say that is mentorship. Thank you.
Asante sana. And because this afternoon we are looking at mentorship in rural, for rural journalists, one of the questions that I have for the three of you is, what are the unique challenges do rural journalists, hey, Wakikuyu in the house, rural journalists face compared to their urban counterparts, and how can mentorship address the gaps?
Wow, that's a mouthful. Okay. I think one of the challenges that rural or grassroots journalists face is access to opportunities. And opportunities in the sense that we tend to localize opportunities in the urban areas. Like you'll find most opportunities are going to be either in Nairobi, the big cosmopolitan counties. So you find maybe for someone who's in Lodwar or for someone who is in Marsabit, they don't have access to those opportunities. So I think that's one of the challenges that they face, because when they don't have access to these opportunities, they're not able to write ethically, write factual stories, because also getting access to those experts in the fields that they're writing in, they may not be accessible in the counties that they come from. The other challenge I think that rural or community journalists face is, and I think it was mentioned yesterday, is access to good pay. And when organizations and companies come together and decide, let's empower this journalist, because one, this journalist is not on a payroll. Half the time, probably the journalist is not on a payroll. But we can work and partner with this journalist to tell those stories in the grassroots without having to bring them back in those cosmopolitan centers. So I think for me, those are the two key challenges I think journalists face when writing about neglected diseases.
All right, thank you. Before we hand it over to Millie, because she can then speak as a journalist herself, and having been in the shoe as a mentor, she can speak more about the experiences and the challenges. But Dr. Ogutu, what have been your experiences in academia, in the field, and as an expert as well?
Okay, in the area of academia, the challenges that sometimes even our students face is we tend to give them more of theory, but when they go out there, they find that things are different in terms of the practical aspect of learning. And so academia has come up with a different, we use internships. So we send our students for internships so that they can also be able to add value to what they've learned in classes. And though we have labs, because we have labs to train these students, sometimes we are faced with equipment, because these equipment need to be updated periodically. And if they are not, you find that we lag behind. We are not abreast with what is happening technologically. Thank you.
And Millie, on your end?
Kwa upande, nitaanza na mimi mwenyewe kwa sababu mimi pia ni mwanahabari wa mashinani pale. Kitu cha kwanza ni sijui kama naruhusiwa kuwataja wale ambao wamenimenta ama hairuhusiwi, lakini pia nimeona ni wafadhili hapa, so si vibaya. Nimekuwa mentored na wafadhili kutoka the Media Council of Kenya, Journalists for Human Rights, nimeona wako hapa. So unapata ya kwamba kama mmoja wepo wa Journalists for Human Rights hakuwa anaelewa Swahili, haelewi Swahili kabisa, hata Kiingereza wakati fulani ilikuwa ni vigumu. So inabidi tunaandika tu. Ni kuandika kama hivyo. Tunaandika tu. So ilikuwa ni vigumu pia kuelewana. Alafu wakati fulani pia mwanahabari wa mashinani pale, muda na kwenda pale mashinani kutafuta wale sources ilikuwa ni vigumu sana, kwa sababu unatumia senti nyingi ili uweze kufikia wale ambao ni wahusika kule mashinani. Alafu kitu kingine unapopata kwamba pia unapokwenda kule ni vigumu, labda ile story umepewa ufanye kwa wiki 2 au wiki 3. So unaambiwa kwamba hii period lazima hii story iwe tayari. Na unafika kule inakuwa ni shida. Sasa inabidi uingie mfukoni ili uweze kupata zile pesa, ukuje uandike hii story, unaandika ile story kidogo inakataliwa, unarudi, hivyo changamoto ni nyingi. Hivyo ni jinsi nilivyopitia vile walinimenta. Alafu mimi mwenyewe pia wale ambao nimewasaidia kidogo pia kuelewa, yani wale ambao bado ni wageni. Ukimfundisha yale makala jinsi anafaa andika na kuambia niandikie tu, sitaweza, niandikie tu, yani anataka umfanyie vitu, wanataka vitu ambavyo viko tayari. Ukimwambia unamuelekeza ni hivi na hivi, sijui, niandikie tu mpaka unashindwa. Sasa hii ni gani kuandikia wanafunzi ambao wametoka fresh from the college, wanataka wa mentor lakini hawako tayari kufanya kile ambacho unawaelekeza. Hiyo pia ni changamoto. Alafu unaona pia kule kwa grassroots teknolojia wakati fulani pia ni vigumu. Mambo na teknolojia unapata kwamba network kule kwetu wakati fulani ni vigumu. Sasa mambo kama hayo inakuwa ni tatizo sana kwa yule mwanahabari kufanya nini? Labda kuleta kila ambacho kinahusishwa na wale ambao wako huku juu. Ni baadhi tu ya changamoto ambazo nimezitaja, lakini ni nyingi.
Shikilia hiyo Mike, sababu tunataka sasa tutafute solutions. We've spoken a lot about solution journalism, looking for solutions for problems. I've had language barrier, I've had people unwilling to put in the work. I've had resources as well for rural journalists, equipment as well. Na hayo matatizo yote. Lakini sasa as a journalist, what needs to be done? What are the solutions that you would recommend as a journalist yourself?
Kulingana na mimi, kwa sababu mimi wanasema kwamba ama testimony, mimi mwenyewe ni ushuhuda kwa sababu kila ambacho nimepitia. Wewe mwenyewe ama mwanahabari mwenyewe ako na suluhu mkononi. Kila ambacho uko nacho kile kidogo kitumie tu kiweze kuleta umuhimu. labda hautatarajia yale makubwa na ili hali hautafikia kwa sasa. So kile kidogo ambacho umebeba mkononi ndicho kitakachokusaidia kwa sasa, kwa muda huu tunapotarajia mengine makubwa.
Thank you, Millie. And to Mercy, what role can organizations like DNDI play in mentoring rural journalists, especially in specialized areas such as health? We've heard about the US-Kenya relations in terms of their health agreement, in areas to do with NTDs or science reporting.
I think what role such organizations can play, first of all, is the mentorship role that you're talking about. It's one thing to facilitate a journalist to the field and leave them to their own devices to write their own stories. And it's quite another to equip them in the sense that you're telling them, this is the scenario, these are the possibilities in the field, these are the patients or these are the communities that you need to work with, these are the experts that you're going to work with, and these are the narratives that you need to be thinking about. And when I say narratives, I do not mean that we are curating the narratives for you. We will provide the environment for you to be able to curate those stories. The kind of stories that you come up with are entirely up to you. And I'll go back to what Millie has said. When we started, it was quite difficult because you'd commission journalists to the field, and then they'll tell you, could you please write it and give it to me when it's free, when it's done. So it beats the purpose. If I've helped you get to the source and then you'll ask me to write the story for you, I can't do that because one, it's not ethically right for me to do that because I'll be biased. I will want to write what I want my organization to look like. And that's not what we are here for. So at first it was difficult. So that's when we realized, okay, we actually do need to provide mentorship so that the rural or grassroots journalists are able to understand the issues on the ground, what are the possible solutions, what are the challenges that the communities are facing, and then from that they are able to curate the stories. So one of the ways that DNDI has been very intentional is provide mentorship opportunities for journalists, both from the legacy media and community media. So over the years, and I'll give maybe 3 examples, when the COVID pandemic happened, this was something very new in the African continent. It was one of those things that we didn't have facts about, we didn't know which angles to take, we didn't know who to talk to, we didn't know who are the sources that we need to quote. So we realized we actually need to empower journalists to write about COVID. So we came up with a mentorship or a training, and we worked with about 22 journalists. And then from the 22, after the training that we gave them an opportunity to pitch for grants, and we awarded 12 of them to write about COVID stories along the African continent. So what that did was expose journalists to research on COVID-19, but also help them to write accurate and factual stories. So you'd find we are not just writing generalizations that this is the X number of people who've died from COVID. We are also getting stories where people are talking about, okay, there are research institutions that are actually trying to find treatments for COVID. You're getting people who've gotten COVID and they are willing to talk about their experiences. So it was no longer about the dying that is happening in COVID, but we're also getting other positive and more nuanced reporting on COVID-19. The other thing that we've been very intentional in doing is conducting speed dating exercises with journalists, or media science cafes, for lack of a better word. So what this does is we bring the experts to the table. We give you an opportunity to talk to these experts, to understand the science behind it, and also how you're going to demystify the science to the audience that you're writing for. The other thing is when we did the Eastern Africa Media Fellowship last year, we realized that NTDs are not sexy. NTDs is not the one thing, when you're given a plate full of other topics that you'd write about, rarely will you find someone picking NTDs to write about. So we decided, okay, NTDs are not as sexy as they would love to be, but it's an area where people are dying, people are really suffering, but we are not hearing the stories. We are not making enough noise. We are not raising a buzz about them. We are not advocating enough for these diseases. So what this did is open up the journalists to opportunities and avenues where they could tell more NTD stories. They could tell stories where if people were suffering maybe, let's say, for something like sleeping sickness. Now there's a treatment for sleeping sickness. We're not talking about how people are suffering from it, but now we are saying there's access to treatment. There's access to research for better treatments for other neglected diseases. So that's what happened. So I think it's very critical that organizations like us bridge that gap, so that we expose you to the experts and we also expose you to the affected communities so that you're able to build those rich narratives around the areas you're writing on.
All right, thank you, thank you. Indeed, there are topics that are too difficult to start debunking. Yeah, like when COVID-19 started, there are people we did not know what it was. And it always helps to have experts and scientists to help not only demystify, but simplify the science. And Dr. Ogutu, from an academic perspective, how can universities better support rural journalism, and especially through structured mentorship support?
Okay, thank you. That's a very important question. I think the collaboration between institutions of higher learning and grassroots journalists can be achieved by identifying people who are good in those areas, the area of journalism, because we have an array of faculty, but we have those who are good in electronic media or broadcast journalism. So those ones can be, used to assist or train these rural journalists. I think also the institutions of higher learning can come up also with fellowship, like scholarships to help journalists so that they can also get education from a diploma level, and then they climb to degree. And they say the sky is the limit, but in this case, sky is not the limit. It's up to you to do that. And also curriculum. Perhaps we need also to revisit our curriculum so that our curriculum can also accommodate grassroots journalism, because our curriculum tends to favor mainstream media. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response, and we'll pass it on to Millie. And given that you've mentored, you've been a mentee yourself, what skills do rural journalists need most today? And especially when it comes through mentorship and direct mentorship or indirect mentorship as well. And before you answer, it will be very interesting to hear what DNDI would think, having been part of mentorship programs and training, what journalists need or what they've told you they need. Millie?
Okay, asante sana kwa hilo swala. Nasema kwamba skills, kila ambacho wanahabari wa mashinani wanahitaji ni kwamba masomo hatujafika, manake bado tunaendelea. Na ili kufikia lengo lako kama mwanahabari, lazima uwe na wahusika wakuu kama vile nilitaja hapo awali, AGJK. Sijui kama mmeangalia ile chati, wale facilitators wote, at least mjaribu sana kushirikiana na wao, kwa sababu kwa kila shirika wako na communication officers, na wale communication officers ukienda kule mashinani unaweza endelea kuandika makala yako alafu kashirikiana nao wakakusaidia kwa njia moja ama nyingine. Kwa mfano tuko na DNDI hapa, mwakilishi Masi. Kwa mfano sasa mimi natoa mfano, wako kule West Pokot. Nitaendelea kwenda kwa grassroots kufanya yale makala ambayo hayakuwa yameangazia, alafu nikiendelea kushirikiana na wao, nikituma yale makala kwao, na nikihitaji labda experts kutoka kwao, hao ndio wataniconnect kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe labda sitaweza, na nikihitaji kitu kama data, hao ndio watanipa. So nahitaji hao, na mbali na hiyo pia labda naweza waomba tu tuseme si hapa, kama kwa mfano kina DNDI hawa tuko nao kule kwa grassroots. Wakikuja kule basi tutakuwa tunashirikiana nao kila wakati ili tuendelee kusoma kutoka kwao, kwa sababu bado kumbe tunahitaji masomo. Nimetoa tu example kama hao. Alafu kitu kingine, kila ambacho labda our facilitators Unajua unapata kwamba huko mashinani wanahabari wengine hawana rekoda, hawana nini. So unapata anaenda kule hana chochote. Mpaka unashangaa sasa ni gani. So sijui kama hilo pia linaweza wekwa ili waweze kusaidiwa, na kama hawana washirikiane basi pia wenyewe kwa wenyewe, kwa sababu in-house lazima kuna yule ambaye anajua na kuna yule ambaye kidogo labda anajifunza. Skills tunaweza toa wenyewe kwa wenyewe, like in-house si wenyewe tunaweza kuwa mentor na mentees hapo ndani, apart from how facilitators ambao tumeona ama AGJK tukiwasubiria labda wakati mwingine.
Okay, I'll just add on to what Millie has said because you practically said everything. Two things that we hear most from the grassroots journalists is, one, they need more support to cover these kind of stories. As I said, we are competing against political stories. We are competing against stories that are more urgent, and sometimes we feel like NTD stories are left at the back burner, so they're not being told as often as possible. So for us to be able to do that, then we encourage journalists to go out there and write those stories. We will help you by facilitating you to go out in the field to write those stories. But besides that, we are giving you access to the experts in the field. We are giving you access to the patients. We are giving you access to the community. We are giving you access to the facilities where these communities go to so that you can write those stories on your own. In the event you need clarification or additional information, we are always open to you coming back and telling us, okay, I got this information from X and Y in the field. Can you please clarify if this is factual? We are always happy to do that, because at the end of the day, we don't want you to publish stories that are not factual, they are not ethical, because we all know what happens when we publish stories and you either misquote someone, you're faced with libel issues. So we are always happy to clarify the scientific bits that you're not sure about. We're always happy to connect you to someone who will be able to fact check for you. The other request we're also getting is journalists are also asking us to help them find ways how they can tell more inclusive stories, not only for print and broadcast, but how else can they diversify and tell stories on social media using the various platforms. Like when I commission someone to go to the field to do a print story, I'm not expecting you to just go and come back with the print story only. Get Instagram stories, do small videos for YouTube, do photo stories, so that when you come back, you have stories that can help you survive for a longer period, so that this week you have this story, next week you have something else. So it's more of a sustainable way of telling these stories.
Before we wind up and take questions from you guys as journalists, I'd like to come back to you, Dr. Ogutu, and ask, what role do partnerships, especially partnership between universities, media organizations, CBOs, and NGOs play in expanding mentorship opportunities for rural reporters?
Okay, thank you for that question. Partnership is very important because it's like, it's a synergy. You bring in different views, different ways of doing things. And it's like a melting pot where everything comes together. And from that melting pot, we are able to get different ways of doing things. For example, the challenge of equipment, we know that there are people who can innovate from institutions of higher learning. They can come up with innovations, for example, in Mojo, using mobile journalism to collect information and train others on how to use Mojo. So collaboration is key, because no entity is, no one entity has the monopoly of information. So we need to work together in a collaboration. Thank you.
As we take questions from the audience, just very, very briefly, we would like to look for a solution for rural journalism in terms of mentorship. Millie, in 20 seconds, sound bites. 20 seconds. what solution do you think could best address the issue of mentorship for journalists, both in the rural and in urban setup?
Muda mfupi, anyway, ni sawa. Wanahabari lazima, kuna kitu kinaitwa networking. Na hawa ambao wako juu yetu, wala ambao wako BBC, wala ambao wako stations za juu, networking ni muhimu. Na kuandika yale makala, alafu kushirikiana. Mostly kama hauna any networks, communicate na AGJK, kuna mail hapo ya kuwasiliana, alafu tuweze kusaidika ili tupate mentors ambao wanaweza tumentor na tuweze kufikia pia BBC, unasikia nataka DW, yale malenga ambao tunahitaji. Because no man is an island, and if you want to succeed, work with the people. If you don't want to succeed, work alone.
Thank you, Millie. Mercy.
Be hungry for opportunities. The opportunities are there. Go for them, pitch for them. I don't know if you guys know Scovian Lillian. She's also a freelance journalist, and she also started writing as a grassroots journalist. Yesterday, she received an award at the World Science Conference. Is it the World Conference for Science Journalists in South Africa? And she's been able to weave her narratives, not only talk about health in general, but the story that she got an award on was she weaved a story on climate and how it's affecting neglected diseases. So also look out for opportunities where you're able to write narratives around the thematic areas like climate, like gender, like pediatrics, because those are the things that people are really interested in and they want to hear those stories. So be hungry for opportunity.
Thank you, Mercy. Daktari, as you wind up.
Okay, I'd like to remind us about ethics and code of conduct. I think one of our presenters promised to bring the new code of conduct. Perhaps they will bring it before the end of this session. But we need it because that is what will help us to do the right thing at the right time. Thank you.
As we set our base on BBC and the rest, questions? So we open it to the floor. Kuna swali lolote? Any question, remark, comment? I see one over there. Any other question, comment, remark?
Good afternoon. My name is Soila. Not a question, but just to reiterate what what Daktari has said about the partnerships. I think it's very important to foster partnerships, especially with the media students. We need to bridge the gap between academia and the media industry. You know, like most of the students, by the time they're leaving school, they don't even have the industry relevant skills. So by the time we get here, it's a competitive market and we don't know how to navigate. So the Association of Media Women in Kenya is really big on mentorship in schools. So if you're not a part of AMWIC, please be a part of AMWIC. They are really helping grassroots journalists with all the mentorship and bridging the gap and the training. It's just so much.
Thank you. Thank you for that remark. We can take 2 questions. I see Patricia there, and maybe one more.
Mine is also probably just a comment because I know there are many youthful journalists here and youthful people. I want to concur what Mercy said in regards to mentorship, that there are so many spaces where you can be able to get mentorship, information, and the help that you require. Unfortunately, many of us want instant coffee, which is not possible. So you must have drive, you must have determination, and you must go for what you want. Because I am one of the people who normally I'm one of the people who normally curate spaces for mentorship for youth and people around me. But unfortunately, you find you've invited people to come to this space. You've invited people who are able to actually mentor them. But then you find someone doesn't want to come, or probably they're lazy or they come late or something. So really, at the end of the day, it really boils down to what is your drive? Where do you want to go? Because I believe that there is always what you can always get that which you want to get. So it's all about you and where you want to get.
Thank you. Thank you. And there's
check the
one
last
here,
one.
the last one. Susan, this one.
So thank you for the opportunity. My name is Mercy and I work for Journalists for Human Rights. Hi, Wairimu. She's my board chair. So it's nice to see you here. I just wanted to speak a little bit about mentorship and my experience as a mentor. And I think for me, what I have picked over the years is that mentorship is mentee driven. I, as a mentor, there's very little I can do if my mentee is not interested in the journey that we are working together. So I think for me, the biggest lesson or the biggest takeaway has always been that mentorship is always mentee driven. And I'd also like to speak a little bit about what Dr. Ari spoke or mentioned about tailoring curriculums for grassroots journalists. I think that is one very rich area that ourselves and Daystar can get into because I realize that the grassroots journalists are very strong in the kind of work and reportage that they do on the ground. But then again, us as institutions that work on media development, we really don't focus so much on them. The much that we can do is to just train, maybe just do mentorship and facilitate a little bit, and then we pack our bags and leave. But how about now focusing more on creating curriculums that can strengthen their capacity in the kind of work that they do on the grassroots, because the issues they face on the grassroots or on the ground are not really the same issues that the journalists on the national level also face.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I have been your panel host. No? Yes. So thank you for having me. It has been a pleasure. A big round of applause to Millie, to Mercy, and to Dr. Ogutu.
Tuwapigie makofi ingine. Please remain upstanding for a group photo. Kameramani. Thank you so much. I believe most of us here are products of mentorship. I would say I am a product of mentorship. And for me, mentorship is walking the journey with someone. It might not necessarily be physical that you and your mentor are meeting physically, but even just getting to learn from them and them equally learning from you. So thank you so much, and let's keep mentoring others in this journey. Tuwapigie makofi wanapoketi. Good job, good job. And I hope we also commit as we're moving here, as we live here, as we do our work. Make sure you mentor someone. Sawa sawa. Are we together? Yes. I'd like to recognize the presence of the Kenya Human Rights Commission Deputy Executive Director, Mr. Cornelius Odor. Karibu sana. We recognize your presence in our conference. We're going to have our last panel discussion, then break for lunch. And in this conversation, we'll be hearing from women who are in media leadership, who are shaping up spaces and taking up leadership opportunities in the media space. I'd like you all to help me welcome Annette, who will be moderating this session. Tumpigie makofi. Makofi yake mpaka afike. Karibu sana, karibu Annette.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Mbona leo mmechoka mapema hivi? Hamjachoka, si ndio? All right. Sawa sawa. Jipeni clap. Okay, jipeni snap. Jipeni stamp. Jipeni clap. Jipeni clap. Fantastic. So we are going to have I know a very timely discussion. It's about women in media leadership. Yeah? I know issues about women have been at the forefront, but we want to dissect that and get into the intricacies of that dynamic of women in media leadership. So help me welcome to stage a phenomenal woman who's doing great work as a media trainer in this space, Mercy Njoroge. Karibu sana Mercy. Also, help me welcome to stage another phenomenal woman doing wonderful work, extremely eloquent. I loved what she did here on stage the other day. Susan Mbotse. All right, and last but not least, I know it's very important that when you're talking about issues of women, we must involve the men. Sindio, we make decisions with them, we live with them, we have children with them, we are doing everything with them. Sindio. So we must involve them. Help me welcome to stage Martin Bunyali. Karibu sana. Just before I start asking our panelists some questions, I want the women in the room I'll ask a question or two, and then you're going to lift your hand. How many of you have been in the community media space for more than 3 years? For more than 3 years? 2 years? More than 2 years? So I see most of us have been there for 3 years and above, right? How many of you have moved ranks since you joined? Upwards, that is. That you maybe joined as an intern, now you're something else, or you've climbed ranks since you joined? Oh, at least 2, 3. Wonderful. All right. It's good to know so that as we shape this discussion. And my first question to our panelists is, what barriers? I want to talk about the barriers, and I'll let you introduce yourselves. Where's the other mic, please? Please introduce yourself and what you do.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Boze. I'm a producer, presenter, and an editor. I work with Chief FM Marsabit, and the only lady working with men.
Imagine.
I feel good.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hamjambo. Walio mitandaoni hamjambo. Aha. Kwa majina naitwa Mercy Njoroge. Ninafanya kazi katika shirika linaloitwa Journalists for Human Rights. Sijui wangapi wamelisikia. Na tuko mpaka na mentees kwenye nyumba. Nimeona mentees wangu akina Mili aliyekuwa ameketi hapa. I'm super proud of you. Kwa hivyo shirika langu liko based headquarter in Canada, but hapa Kenya tuko na programs ambazo tuna implement, na kazi yetu sana sana ni kuwafunza ama kuwaelimisha wanahabari katika njia za kuripoti maneno ya human rights na gender. Tutajua mengi kuhusu kazi ambayo ninafanya, na katika hilo shirika kazi langu ni a trainer, so I train mostly journalists on reporting on gender sensitive issues. Asante.
Fantastic. Give a clap.
Hamjambo.
Hatujambo.
Jina langu naitwa Martin Bunyali. Mie ndiye nasimamia kituo cha Ruben FM Nairobi, na pia I'm a presenter, na hasa nafanya mambo ya injili hivi. Na inakuwa sawa. Asante.
Karibuni sana. Ningependa tuanze hapa na Susan. Nitajaribu Kiswahili. Kiswahili si mdomo changu, I'll try. You've said that you're the only woman working at your station, and you've mentioned Marsabit, and it's obvious to many of us the kind of prejudice that is already existent in that part of the country. Besides cultural, we all know of the cultural barriers that bar women from rising into leadership in the media space and in any other sphere. For you, besides cultural barriers, what other barriers are there?
Mi kile kitu naweza zungumzia ni kwamba baadhi ya wanawake tunakosa kujiamini. Unakosa kuonyesha ule ukakamavu wako, kwa sababu unajua mtu akikuajiri mahali anatarajia aone kuna mwelekeo fulani ama aone kwamba kuna mabadiliko fulani, lakini baadhi yetu kama wanawake tunashindwa kuwa na ule ukakamavu kwamba I can do this.
Yes.
Na nielewa, tunajitenga kwa kile, ama kama wewe ni mtangazaji wa redio unajikwamilia pale studio kwamba mimi ni wa habari, hauwezi kuchukua hatua hata useme wacha niende nje niandike story. So mimi think the other thing apart from culture, pia kutojiamini kama wanawake, we don't have confidence, some of us.
Yes.
We feel like we are so contented and so comfortable in one place, and that is very bad.
Interesting. That's very good to know. Yes, your take, please.
So for me, I think I'll talk about two barriers, and I like what Susan has spoken about the lack of confidence that often women, suffer from, and that is what holds them back from ascending or getting into positions of leadership. But the panel that we had previously talked a lot about mentorship.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the biggest barriers that I have encountered in the media, because personally, I did not get mentored.
Yeah.
I got into the media space in 2009.
Okay.
Then you had to survive in that very hostile environment, because let's face it, the media is quite a hostile environment, both for men and women.
Yeah.
But again, for women, it's really hard for them to, to penetrate and to ascend through those leadership onto leadership levels. So I think lack of mentorship, I would say, is one of the barriers. But the good thing is that most media development organizations and even the media houses themselves, they have identified that is a barrier. And you see there's a lot of mentorship opportunities and mentorship trainings that really help women to navigate around the issues that they face in the media space. And I guess for me, the elephant in the room is sexual harassment, something that we often don't talk about, but it is real. I know there are women and equally men who have lived experiences with sexual harassment, and this has resulted into a lot of women leaving the media space, because that's why you see I think Wairimu and Dr. here can bear me witness. We have very many women who are undergoing training, especially in colleges and institutions of higher learning, to get into the media space. But when they get there, the environment is so toxic. There's a lot of sexual harassment that most people do not want to face. And that is a reality. So what happens? You find that there's a lot of bleeding along the line, and you find most of these women are dropping off and getting into PR. So what that means is that there's a huge imbalance. We end up having more men telling stories and reporting, and more women leaving the media space. So this means that we have more stories that are just being covered from one perspective, and that is the male perspective, as opposed to also having them being balanced in the sense that women have also the same opportunity to cover these kinds of stories. So for me, I think, sexual harassment is one of the biggest barriers to women getting into positions of leadership in the media space.
Fantastic. And for Martin, I want us to take a little bit of a twist and look at it at an institutional level and system level. For instance, where you come, where you're a station manager, or even other stations where you have interacted with them. Have you institutionalized systems that position women for leadership? For instance, I'll give an example, like the 2/3 gender rule. It ensures that even if no woman shows up, somehow we'll have to find people to fill these spaces, even if it's through nomination and all of that. Do you have any institutionalized systems that bring women into the spaces of media leadership?
Nashukuru sana Anet kwa swali hilo, na niseme kwamba kwa mfano kule Ruben FM ambako nafanya kazi, katika kipindi ambacho kimepita tumeweza kufanya juhudi za kuhakikisha kwamba wanawake tunawapatia sehemu ya kwanza katika media ili waweze kutekeleza wajibu wao inavyofaa. Na kila wakati tunawazungumzia tukiwaambia kwamba it is time for them to take their position in media, na hakuna mtu ambaye atakuja kuwasukuma katika tasnia hii, ila wakipata mazingira ambayo yanastahili yaliyomema, wao wanatia bidii. Kuna kisa kimoja ambacho tulipatana nacho, mwanahabari mmoja wa kike ambaye alikuwa amekuja kwenye stesheni akitaka kufanya ama kuboresha tasnia yake, na wakati tuko naye pale akawa anatueleza kwamba hana ule uwezo wa kuweza kwenda katika jamii kufanya kazi, kukusanya habari na kuja kuzitangaza. Na alipokuwa na ule uoga, ikabidi sisi kama wasimamizi tuweze kumtia motisha ya kufanya ile kazi. Na wakati tulipomsaidia kipindi cha miezi mitatu, akawa ndio bora hata kuliko wale wengine waliokuja kufanya kazi nao. Na inaonyesha kwamba tukiwashika watangazaji wa kike mkono, kuna wale watakuwa bora zaidi, na sio kwamba wanaume hawawi bora. Sote tunakuwa bora katika tasnia hii. Kwa ni changamoto kwa kila kituo cha redio mahali popote walipo, wahakikishe kwamba vigezo vinawekwa vile ambavyo vinaweza kuboresha kina dada kuweza kufanya kazi yao kama wanahabari inavyofaa. Kama hakuna mipangilio yote ambayo imewekwa, it is now time that waweze kufanya bidii na juhudi za kuweza kuhakikisha putting measures in place to make sure that the women in media are getting the support which is desired.
Yes.
Naam.
Fantastic. So the station managers, other station managers here, other leaders at the station level, Meskia, you've been challenged to institutionalize gender inclusivity. Sindio? Yeah. Sawa. On to my next question. How can media houses create safer and more supportive spaces for women, especially in conflict or sensitive reporting? What must journalists do differently starting from now? So let's talk about how can media houses create safer and more supportive spaces for women?
Media zinastahili kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba mazingara ambayo yamewekwa ni jumuishi, ya kwamba wanawake walio katika tasnia hii wanaweza kujizungumza na kuweza kupata msaada ambao unastahiki kwa muda unaofaa, kwa sababu unapata wengi wao wakizungumza, kuna wale ambao they underrate them when they speak. And that is one thing that makes women not to talk, especially wale ambao wanaona kwamba if they speak wanaenda kudhalalishwa katika maeneo yao ya kazi. Kwa hivyo kila mmoja ama kila mtangazaji aliye katika sehemu fulani ama katika kituo fulani akiona kwamba mwenzake ni bora kuliko yeye, utapata that environment will be good for them to work together as journalists in that space. And I believe that even the leadership within that institution also has to create time for the journalists, you know, kwa sababu kuna wale ambao hawawezi wakafikia viongozi wao, wana matatizo ya kuweza kuwasilisha, lakini zile protocol ambazo zimewekwa kuweza kufikia mahali pa kuweka malalamishi, ama yule ambaye anapokea malalamishi unapata kwamba sometimes hayapi kipaumbele. Kwa hivyo yastahili waweze kuwapa kipaumbele, waweze create ile channel ya kuweza kusikiliza kila mwanahabari wanayofanya kazi naye, ili the space to be safe for everyone. Yes.
And on to Mercy, just a different perspective. Talk about the safety gaps that are existing in media spaces. What are the safety gaps?
So I will answer your question, but I also want to pick up from where it's left. So I'll speak about my experience. When I was getting into the media space, there's something that was very clear to me. The media was presented to me as a boys' club. So, and for a long time, I really struggled with that. But over time, I have seen the way women have come out very, very strongly. And a good example is the Standard Media Group that at one point formed a very strong sisterhood kind of organization within the media space. And this really helped the women in working in the media space to thrash out some of the issues that they were facing. And what that did, it enabled most of them to rise up to the ranks. And I think that also answers to your question, how can then we as women come together and make the media space safe for us? It starts with us. It starts with the women who are working in the media space. And when I talk about the men, I'm not also excluding men, because men in the media space are also allies in the issues that we face as women working in the media. So then again, even as we mobilize as women, how are we also working with the men within the space to be like the support system that we need? And I think it's also important to, I'm still answering your question, I believe, talk about role models in the media, because oftentimes when even women in the grassroots level see women sitting on national media, on the national media spaces, I think it would be important for us to think about how are we having, I'll call it intergenerational or multi-sectoral, so that we bridge the gap between women working in the grassroots level and women working in the national level, so that we are having a space whereby the women in the national level are also supporting women in the grassroots level to deal with the issues that probably they are dealing with. Because truth of the matter is sometimes how grassroots organizations are organized is not as structured as the national media or the mainstream media.
Fantastic. And to Susan, you'll give your perspective on the issue of safety, but you can add a caveat of how can journalists support each other to create safer working spaces.
Okay, I think association is very important, having a media association in your areas of working. Kwa sababu wakati mtakuwa na ushirikiano wa associations ama mko na kikundi ambacho nyinyi kama wanahabari mnakuja pamoja na kuweza kushare ama kuzungumza kuhusiana na masuala yenu, inakuwa rahisi sana. Kwa sababu mara nyingine sisi wanahabari huwa tunajifanya kuwa wajuaji kwa sababu unataka kufanya kitu peke yako kivyako. For instance, like there's a time in Marsabit whereby ladies were invited for an event, wakaenda bila kuambia wenzao, alafu ikifika huko mambo yakawa mabaya. So they had to call because they are alone. They are ladies, they've gone there, they are alone, they have not yet talked to anybody. So sasa tunakufa huku. Kufeni mje mwili basi. Si tule wali. So sometimes associations are very important, guys. When you come together, you can share, and in case of anything, you can stand together as journalists. Yes, and it's even easy for other organizations to come through, like media council. Wanakuja wanaingilia ndani wanawatetea, lakini sasa kama nyinyi hamna ushirikiano wenyewe, how will you deal with the safety gaps? Yes.
Fantastic. Recently, I was talking to a leader in one of the corporations in the country, and there's an enterprise I wanted to be a part of. And in that conversation, they told it happened to be just gentlemen, and they were told, if you want to succeed, let her be the forefront. You're going to get this funding you're looking for. And I want to talk about that. I don't know if you have any idea for the women in leadership in this room and even beyond, those who are watching us, what opportunities or how can media spaces leverage on the strengths of women to bring in funding, to make their stations more sustainable? Where can they look? What can they do? Yeah.
I think I can start.
Yeah.
So I think how media houses can leverage on women is to acknowledge and accept that women are an audience that also consumes the same products that they are selling. Okay. That is, I think, where we can start from. Because over time, media has been targeted on the men. Because let's face it, the kind of advertisements that we get, most of these advertisements target women. If you're looking at sanitary wear, hardly ever is it targeting men. True or false, yeah? If you look at sanitary wear, is talk about pads, talk about diapers for children.
Yes.
All that is content or commercials that are targeted towards women. So if media houses cannot identify and accept the fact that the content that we produce must create revenue, and for us to create revenue, we must attract advertisers, and these advertisers are looking for money, not from the men, but from the women,
okay,
then we'll still be lost. But if we accept that that is a reality, then I think then we have an opportunity to, to see women as, or to use women as, not really use, that's the wrong word, to utilize or to position women as strategically, in the sense that they'll enable us as media outlets to generate more revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Martin, please give us your input.
Yes, we need to ensure that we are capacity building the women in media fraternity, because the way things are changing in the world, you know, they are lining on their side mostly, despite the fact that we are told that there is equality everywhere. We need to look into that, because the way you've spoken and said, anywhere you go, if you go as a station manager like myself, if I up in any room without a woman, it is difficult for someone to listen to me and pay attention to the end.
Yes.
So what we need to do is make sure that tunawajenga katika kile kiwango ambacho tunataka wawe, na wakienda kule katika nafasi hizo wanaweza they can grab the opportunity, and the media houses will grow kwa kile kiwango ambacho tunataka uweze kufikia.
I like that. So not just to position them just for the fact that they're women, but build their strengths, so that their strengths, you can leverage on those strengths to bring income.
To add on to that, wacha wanawake pia wajulikane kwamba wana uwezo wa kuweza kufanya kila kitu. Wakati uko na mwanamke kituoni, ama ni mwajiri mwenzako, tafadhali, ama ni mwajiriwa mwenzako, tafadhali hakikisha kwamba huyu mwanamke anaweza kushikilia nafasi yoyote ile. Usimwache katika kitengo kimoja. And ladies in the house, tafadhalini, usikubali kuwekwa mahali pamoja, kwa sababu ile station yenye uko leo, kesho huenda ukawa hauko pale, ukapata nafasi nyingine mahali kwingine. Lakini kwa sababu wewe umejifinyilia mahali pamoja, ukakosa ile opportunity, wewe umeshikilia wasema mimi ni news anchor, kwa hivyo mimi siwezi fanya marketing. Ukipata hiyo opportunity, pita nayo sisi. Sawa sawa? Maana yake kuna leo na
kesho.
Yes.
Fabulous. And my last question before we open the floor is, if we redesign leadership in the media space, or in the stations you lead in the organizations you lead in, for the next 10 years, what must change? What has to change?
If we reorganize, what we need to change in our media station is to give priority to women as we speak right now, because most of the institutions hata sasa ukiweza kufuatilia within this conference, ukiuliza, kuna yule anakuambia kwamba katika kituo chao ni mmoja tu kwa wanaume wengi. Unapata kuna wanawake watatu. Unapata swala la wanawake kupatiwa kipaumbele imekuwa tatizo kidogo. Pale mbele unaona katika uongozi wa kituo ndio kunaweza kuwa na mwanaume, lakini katika nafasi zingine lazima tuweze kuziboresha sana, ili hawa wanawake ambao tunazungumza kila wakati siwe kuzungumza tu, but an action that is being put in place, ili tuweze kuona ule utofauti ambao unastahili katika mashirika yetu ya utangazaji. Na ukiboresha tu, wapatiwe nafasi, basi mambo yatakuwa sawa.
Fantastic.
I think for me, I wouldn't say wapatiwe nafasi, ningesema wachukue hiyo nafasi. Because nothing is given to you, including leadership. So my clarion call to the women is take up those opportunities. If it means for you lobbying, if it means for you going back to school to build your capacity, please go for it. Because I think the world, the way it is designed, nothing is easy, nothing is given, you have to take it. And just to also build up on what you have said, I think also we need to change our mindsets so that we can change what is always holding us back, that I cannot be because my boss is a man. Fight him if it means with your life. That's true. I have also fought my fair share of battles when I was in the media. And it really helped, because I was given all kinds of brands, feminists, you name it. But it used to get in through this ear and out through the other ear. And that is how I got to where I got to until the last day I was in that space. So I would say go for it, get it, so that you're able to change the culture in the media, because we cannot accept that it is business as usual, that every time we have to get, say, a station manager that is a man, every time it's a story on gender, it is only a woman who's being sent, or a woman journalist who's being sent to cover that story.
Yes.
Or if it's health, or, this, what we call soft beats, we accept that that is the norm.
Yeah.
That it's only women who can, cover those stories. I think it's about time that even us as women, we challenged ourselves and said, if it's political coverage, I'm going to do it. If it's coverage on, just name it, business, these bits that are often dedicated to men, let's also just come out, and let's also not fear failure. Because I think that really holds us back. Yeah, the fear of failing, the fear of being overjudged.
Yes.
And also because we have to work 3, 4 times, 5 times harder than what our male counterparts do in the media space for us to emerge at the top.
Fantastic. Susan, what must change?
I think I'll just talk to my fellow women. Ladies, we can do it. Jiamini tafadhali. Go for this position. Ukisikia kuna position pale kazini imekuwa advertised, wacha kujiweka kwa sababu wewe ni mwanamke. Go for this position, because what a man can do, a woman can do it better. Are we together? Now, it's not about, we are talking about women, but the station managers. Hebu mpigieni makofi station manager wangu. Mike, hebu simama. Appreciate my station manager. This man. Mkuja Marsabit mfanyiwe benchmarking, eh?
Yes.
This man is a man and a half. Yes, because I'm the only lady, but whenever an opportunity comes in the office, I am his first priority. Mpaka mimi mwenyewe niseme no, ndo atapeana kwa wanaume. So ladies, please, go for these positions. Na sisi tunaweza. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So we'll open the floor to just, I can see a couple of questions. We'll start with Carilas Masai and then finish on that end, and then we have our chair here as well. We can start here with Carilas.
Wamesema kina mama wanaweza hawawezi.
Wanaweza.
Kwanza naomba nikashifu msemo ya kwamba what a man can do, a woman can do better. Ya kwamba mimi naweza toka hapa kifua wazi hadi uko chini. Sasa tukitoka pia sisi mimi naweza patiana mtu sasa. It can never work that way as a typical African man. Lakini pia I feel like women are over empowered. All right? And we are forgetting about the boy child. Maswala, tunapozungumza maswala kama sexual harassment, all right? Hata sisi wanaume tunakuwa sexual harassed. Kitendo fulani kikifanywa kwa mwanamke, mfano, if I spank a woman, it's breaking news. But the same woman akini spank, it's never breaking news, right? Wanaume hoye? So I think ni nafasi pia sisi wanaume tukue recognized. Hata panel kama hizi pia tukue na panel kama hizi sisi pia kuzungumziwa, kwa sababu sasa ulimwengu mahali umefika, wanawake pia wamepewa nafasi sawa. Ni wanawake wenyewe wajitume, wa realize ya kwamba we have been given that opportunity and we have to prove that we can do it. Lakini some of them wakiingia kwa ofisi wamevaa ile vazi ya kwamba sisi ni wanawake, hatuwezi fanya hivi. Na nirudi kwa Susan Mboja ambaye amesema ya kwamba baadhi ya wanawake hawana ujasiri wa kufanya yale ambayo wanapaswa kuyafanya. Wana uwezo lakini hawana ujasiri, kwa sababu back in their mind they are saying I'm just a woman. All right? So we want you guys, you women, to prove to us that what a man can do. Kwa hivyo jioni hapa tunatoka kifua wazi tuko chini.
Yeah, we'll take 3 and then we'll respond. You can write them down, so we'll respond to them all at once.
Habari za mchana.
Salama.
Mimi na swali kwa sababu pia mimi ni mmoja wa wanawake ambao walipata nafasi kuongoza
Yes.
radio moja kule Baringo South.
Yeah.
Na swali, do you think kwa utafiti wenu ama mitazamo yenu, pia jamii imefeli na kuchangia sana sisi wanawake wa kike kutafuta position kama hizo, ama ni sisi wanawake wanahabari wa kike tumefanya jamii ikaleta hii taswira kwamba lazima Faima alishusha kifuniko cha asali ndo akapata hiyo position, ama ni kasumba tu ya jamii? Asante.
All right. Fabulous. We'll take from Masai and then we can get the responses. Okay, we'll come to you. Take Masai first.
Thank you. Mine is just to thank you guys for the wonderful job. I have one question to Mercy.
Yeah.
Do you think Kenya's current laws on sexual harassment in the workplace adequately protects women in media spaces? And two, to Susan, what is the biggest factor contributing to less women in media sector, apart from sexual harassment and advocating for equal spaces?
Fabulous. I think we can. Okay, fine.
I think I'll start by reacting. Before I go to Masai's question, I want to react to the gentleman who spoke here in the middle table. Yeah. And I just want to let you know that everything and all the efforts that are being done to support women or to bring along gender equality, it's not a contest. It's not a contest between men and women. I think I spoke a little bit about allyship. So what a man can do, a woman can do better, and the vice versa also applies. So amna kile kifua tunasaidiana. It's yeah. So I think I needed to clear the air on that. And then there's a good question that was asked by someone at the back. Yes, on whether the society has failed women, but I think I want to leave that question to the other panelists. So on to your question, Masai, on whether the Kenya's current laws on sexual harassment protects women. I believe it should, but then again, as much as it does, but I think it also goes down to where we work. Do our organizations also have policies that protect us as employees? And when I talk about sexual harassment, I think I still want to go back again to the gentleman. He spoke about men also experiencing sexual harassment. So these policies, let me just, in a minute, I think our panel was very disadvantaged because we've not been given enough time to deliberate on this topic. It's a very important topic of women in media leadership. And what I wanted to say is that men also experience sexual harassment, but how often are they outspoken when they experience these kinds of harassment? And the kind of work that we have done at JHR is that we realized that women, the reason actually we started the work around sexual harassment is because women were leaving the media space because of it. And so we developed a model anti-sexual harassment policy that some of the media houses represented here have adopted. I think currently we have like 9 media, community media outlets that have adopted the model, the anti-sexual harassment model. Fabulous. So just to answer you, Masai, is that the laws, of course, have to protect the women and the men in equal measure. But then again, going back to where we work, do we have those policies? And I think what I would like to end by saying is that if your organization does not have those policies, the anti-sexual harassment policies, and even any gender, policy, the affirmative action policy, please feel free to reach out to me. We can support you and see how we can develop those policies and ensure that your employees, even the station managers, your employees work in an environment that is conducive and they are protected.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you.
And zungumza kwa swali ambalo Faima aliuliza ya kwamba kama jamii imechangia wanawake kuweza kukosa nafasi za uongozi ama ni wanawake wenyewe. Ukiangalia sana utapata mambo haya yote kwa sehemu mbalimbali yanaingiana, kwa maana Ukipewa nafasi katika uongozi kama mwanamke, ni yapi ambayo unayafanya mwenyewe kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba you are maintaining your image katika jamii? Kwa sababu watu wana imani sana katika viongozi, na kiongozi akikosa ile nafasi ya kuweza kuongoza vyema na kuweza kujiweka kuwa mraisi, vile ulivyosema, sijui kifuniko cha asali kinapeanwa, unapata kikipeanwa kila mahali, pia watu watapoteza imani na wewe kama kiongozi, kwa sababu wewe ni kioo cha jamii. Lazima ujiweke sawa, ufanye majukumu yako inavyofaa, ili ile jamii ambayo iko karibu na wewe pia inaweza pata imani nawe. Habari unazowapa, uongozi unaotoa ni wa kuaminika na wanakupa support ambayo inahitajika. Asante.
Naam, kwa swali lako Masai, kama nimelipata vizuri kuwa unauliza, kando na unyanyasaji wa kingono, ni jambo gani lingine ambalo linapelekea wanawake kukosa kupata nafasi katika kushikilia nafasi za uongozi? Kama nilivyotangulia kusema kwamba wanawake baadhi yetu hatujiamini, na hakuna kitu kibaya kama kutojiamini. Wakati unataka kufanya jambo ukose kujiamini, that's where the failure begins. So wanawake wanafaa kufanya nini? Kujiamini. Jiamini kwamba unaweza. Failing is not the end of everything. Afadhali uanze safari, uanguke, lakini ipo siku utainuka. Kuna watu hapa ambao walianza kuja kwa conference kama hizi miaka 4 iliyopita, pengine hajafanikiwa, lakini kesho huenda akafanya nini? Akafanikiwa. Kwa hivyo wakati utakuwa na ule ukakamavu ndani yako, unaweza, na bila shaka ipo siku mambo yatakuwa shwari. Jambo lingine ambalo pia wanawake tunafaa tujitoe, okay, some of us tunatoka jamii za wafugaji. Jamii ya wafugaji, mwanamke hana sauti, mwanamke huwezi kusema chochote, na inafikia mahali hata ile environment unafanya kazi nayo, especially kama unafanya na wanaume, you can't even delegate a duty to a man, because according to the culture of that community, mwanamke hawezi kusema hawezi kusema. So kwa sababu wewe umeamua kupasiu kile ambacho kiko ndani yako, usikubali ile culture yenu ikuingie, kukalie. Utazaa ule kisha umeolewa na babu. Wasikia, si mtu wa saizi yako. Manake kama jamii za wafugaji kule, tunaona mtoto akiwa miaka 3, tunaona vitu vimeanza 13, vitu vimeanza kutokelezea, wazazi wanaanza kupiga mahesabu, ngamia ngapi hapa, ng'ombe ngapi.
Yes.
Lakini kama wewe mwenyewe unajua kile chenye unataka katika maisha yako, you will achieve it, I'm telling you. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. There's a pressing question there, and as you walk there, there's a certain clip I watched recently online, and it was about the knowledge that, do you know the questions that are acceptable and not acceptable during interviews? And we're talking about women in leadership. As you apply for those positions, do you know that there are questions you're not supposed to be asked? For instance, are you pregnant? I know that those are some of the things that panelists want to consider because of certain liabilities. Are you aware of these things as women in the media space? Or how many children do you have? Those things are irrelevant and inconsequential. Are you married? You should. Are you a virgin? They ask. All right. Please, let's take that question as you think about that.
Good afternoon. Okay, well, mine is not a question.
Yes.
It's just a comment on women in leadership.
Yes.
Because that's a space some of us occupy, and just ideas around how women can succeed in the leadership positions. One of the things that I've learned personally is that as a woman, the difference between where you are and the next step where you want to go is audacity. Most of us do not ask for promotion. You're not asking for salary increase, because you think that I'm just going to work very hard until my boss or whoever, my supervisor, is going to see and ultimately reward me. It doesn't work like that, ladies. All the men who get promotion or get salary increments or get new assignments, they ask for it. They don't sit back and wait for their supervisors to actually do it. So if there's anything you're going to leave out of this space with, is audacity. Just ask. What is the worst somebody is going to say? Is no. And if they say no and you keep on asking, at some point, to let you go, they'll have to say yes or give you something that you want.
So that is one of the things that I would really want to encourage women. Two, the other thing that I think sometimes we fight as women, you want to be equal to men. It's not going to be possible because the world already, the structures of the world have been created to support patriarchy. So if you want to fight to be equal with men, it's going to work against you. Rather, just be a woman. And what are the characteristics of a woman that makes you stand out? You are intuitive. So you're going to see stories that men are not going to see. And you're going to tell them from an emotional point of view. Somebody here was saying that advertisement is actually done to women. Do you know why advertisement is done to women? Because they're influencers. They may not have the purchasing power, but they're the ones who are going to say, I want that. And they're going to influence. So your natural instinct as an influencer should be able to make you move to the next stage, get what you want, apply that audacity, and move the next step without stepping on other women, just as yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to, I can see, are you guys willing to give us another 10 minutes of your, and we'll take it from your lunch break? Yeah? Some of you are okay, some of you are not okay. Yeah, what do we do? What do we do? Yeah. Yeah. And there's a pressing question somebody sent me. I want that also it's an observation I've made in the community media space about women in the media space and maternity. Please speak to that.
Sijui mbona wameniweka kwenye spoti, and there's someone who's it's only fair that that person is given an opportunity. Aki ameinua mpaka mikono zote mbili. We can't do that to him. So please let him first go and then I'll
Nalengwa. Labda pengine Masi, nina swali kwako. Nimependezwa na JHR. Nitafanyaje kuweza kujiunga na nyinyi? Pili, mbona nasema hivyo? Labda pengine kule mashinani kuna ile swala ambalo wewe kama mwanahabari unapouliza mshahara umechelewa kidogo hivi unafutwa. Ama pengine unaambiwa kwamba wewe unapewa warning letter. So nitafanyaje kujiunga na Journalists for Human Rights?
Asante kwa swali lako. No wonder nilikuwa nainua mpaka mikono yote mbili. You see, it's good to give people an opportunity. So I think nione nyuma ya tent na yule mwingine yeyote anaweza penda kujua vile ambavyo tunaweza fanya kazi na yeye. Tafadhali, I am very much available. After this panel we can talk. I think mimi sina t-shirt ya white, kwa hivyo ni rahisi kuni-identify, sio? Dennis na Bosco, nataka t-shirt ya white. Anyway, I think the other thing I also wanted to talk about is to the conveners of this conference. Yes. Next time, we shall not allow ourselves as women in the media to be given a spot after lunch or just before lunch. Can we have panels to discuss women's issues in the morning? This whole idea of always pushing us after lunch, ama sijui, when everyone else is tired and they've switched off, as women, to make a task. So next time, Dennis and Bosco, you send us that program and issues around women, discussing women's, women has been tucked somewhere up on Yuma, we will turn you down. So let's all look out. No, I'll not allow you to speak because I see you want to attack me. But anyway, I want to answer. You'll be given an opportunity. I want to answer the question on maternity.
Yes.
And I think that is one of the points I had put down when we were talking about making the media space safer for women.
Yes.
And I'd like to share my experience. This is a very personal experience.
Yeah.
I said I got into the media space in 2009. I started my career at the Star newspaper. I'm a print journalist. So 2019, I worked there. I worked at People Daily. And so 2019, Nation Media Group came calling. They were starting a publication on The Voice. Those of you who are aware, it's a gender publication. And so incidentally, after I went for the interview, it was a written interview and then an in-person interview. And this time I was very heavily pregnant. And so when I was preparing for the interview, I can tell you, I really tried to look for an outfit that would conceal my situation. That is how bad it is, because I feared being discriminated because of what I was about to do to deliver a baby. So I go for the interview, and the two of us who were the best for that position, we were both women and we were all expectant. So the panel, which was constituted of 4 men and one woman who was now the gender editor, really didn't have a choice, so they had to pick us. So eventually I got there, I was 7 months, so of course 2 months later I go for my maternity. And the good thing is Nation Media Group had a very good policy whereby you would not be discriminated as a woman because you are, say, expectant or because you have children, because here's the reality of the matter. Our years of reproduction and our years of, excelling in the media space are more or less, they clash, because in your 20s and in your 30s, that is when you are becoming a mother, that is when you're settling down, in your family, as a family person. And of course, that is also the same time that you're active and you trying to get into that position of leadership. So there's that clash. And so what I would say is this, media houses or, the employment space has to be very conscious to ensure that we have policies that are inclusive and accommodative to women. Because we cannot wish women away and say, because mtu amepata mimba, and that I know there are women who have experienced that.
And paid leave.
And paid leave. You get pregnant as if you're being punished for doing what is natural, something that you cannot run away from. I have seen women who, you go on maternity, especially correspondents, and I know some of us who work in the community are sometimes have worked as correspondents. You go on maternity leave, by the time you're coming back, your position has been replaced, and not by another woman, but by a man, unfortunately. And that is how you lose a job. So most women are either saying, I can't work in the media because if I get pregnant, I'll lose my job. So what does that do to you? It denies you the opportunity to enjoy life in its whole, in its fullness, to be a mother and at the same time to be a career woman. So I would say that it's really important that we continue sensitizing employees, station managers, support these women. I can tell you, I got a lot of support when I was at People Daily and at The Nation during that phase of my life, and it really, really helped me. And I always say, if I'm to ever work as a boss or a manager for any woman who's now during, experiencing that, I would really support them to the best of my ability.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe I'd want Martin to touch on that, the issue of women in leadership media and maternity, and then we close it.
I believe we are not the same, men and women. And as leaders, we have to understand some of the situation, like how Masa has said. When time comes for a woman to go for maternity, you have to give them that a chance to go. And when they come back, because their performance is well rated at the respective media houses, how these people they work, how they deliver when they assign duties. So you have to keep them and also make sure that whatever belongs to them is given out to them so that they can take good care of themselves. When they come back, wanapatiana ile kazi ambayo inahitajika ama matokeo ambayo unayataka katika kituo chako cha habari. And that is a conversation that we have to carry out as community media across the country. How Masa said, mtu akienda unapata mwingine amewekwa kazi. How can we make sure that we providing a good space for women, especially when it comes to the issue of maternity? Ndiposa they don't give up, kwa sababu kuna wale ambao tayari washafanyiwa mambo kama hayo and they gave up. They didn't go back to mambo ya media. So we need to see on how we are going to help them and support them well, so that waendelee na kazi ambayo inastahili. Thank you.
Yes, she has something to say, and then we'll wrap it up. I know it's a wide conversation. I'd want to go on and on. Yeah.
Mimi ni example vizuri, and I'm yet to go. And even my boss knows that if I go, kifika mwisho wa mwezi, lazima ka account kasome. Juni, si tafadhali. Si ndio? Yes, so me I wanted to touch on kuna kitu nimekumbuka.
Yeah.
On women and leadership. Wanawake pia tunapopewa nafasi katika vyombo vya habari, tujikakamue. We have a lot of excuses, some of us, especially wenye tuko mashinani. Umeajiriwa, unajua ukijionyesha wewe ni mkakamavu na unachapa kazi vizuri, nafasi ikija utafanya nini? Utapewa upandishwe madaraka. Lakini kama wewe leo unakuja show, kesho hauji, kesho kutwa umetuma message, umeenda kijijini, mpwa wake ankufa, wewe umeenda, mara nyingine nafanya tusipewe so tukae rada. Asante.
Asante. Thank you so much. I don't know what we'll do with the rest of the questions that we haven't covered. I'd like us to thank our panelists. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your insight. To wape snap, wape stamp, wape clap. Hey, wape clap. Thank you so much. Over to you. Maybe the photographers can come and take a photo of the panel.
Photographer. Great conversation here, very timely. Na singependa kuongeza ama kutoa chochote. It's up to us to continue spreading the message and ensure that women are in leadership, and we support them where necessary. At this point, we will break for lunch for 1 hour, then be back. Lunch is still served at the same place we've been going. And I equally request us to leave as a group to allow the team clean up the room. So let's all leave as a team and no one should be left behind. Asanteni, and see you in the next hour.
Wanasema nimesota misina do, mara niko wash na osha do, wacha kuspread hizo rumors.